Originated by Dr. Iftikhar ul-Haq, cell number 033342557013. Major themes of the Quran: P1 Q1 total marks 8, 4 marks for 2a parts and 4 marks for 2b parts of the 2 passages chosen out of the given 3 passages. In a parts, describe the main themes contained in the passages, highlighting the key words/phrases. In b parts, explain the importance or relevance of the themes for daily living of the Muslims. Passage 1. Verse of the Throne, 2:255. A. Theme. Theme of this long verse of a Medinian surah, Al-Baqarah, is Tawhid. It outlines God's inimitable attributes that distinguish him from his creatures. The words Al-Hayy Al-Qayyum / the ever-living and self-subsisting refer to his creative and sustaining force behind his existence. God is free from human weaknesses and needs such as tiredness or sleep. His authority encompasses the entire universe and he remains totally uninfluenced in. Originated by Dr. Iftikhar ul-Haq, cell number 033342577013. Establishing his writ over his created world. The word kursi signifies both his authority and knowledge about all his domain because he is its sole creator. Therefore, none of his creations can escape his knowledge in the remotest parts of the universe. It further emphasizes God's unique right of exercising his authority in a way that none can dare influence him. The passage ends with the words, Huwa al-Ali ul-Azim, that represent his ultimate supremacy and exaltedness. The Quran repetitively mentions God's supreme status, such as, God be exalted, the true King, the Lord of the throne of grace. 23:116, Al-Mu'minin. B. Importance of the theme. The passage strengthens the belief of the Muslims in Tawhid in terms of God's oneness, uniqueness, majesty, and glory. So, it trains them to condemn shirk as humans are vulnerable to go astray under the influence of Satan. There is repetitive mention of God's knowledge and powers in order to instruct them to worship and depend on him alone. The message of this verse frees the believers from fear of all other powers, visible and invisible. By believing in God's absolute powers, Muslims tend to develop his fear, and thus become more humble and submissive towards him. Muslims usually recite this verse as an invocation for protection of their lives and belongings. The Prophet is reported to have said, whoever recites Ayat al-Kursi after every obligatory prayer, nothing prevents him from entering paradise except death. Therefore, Muslims recite the Ayat al-Kursi while leaving their valuables at or outside home. Originated by Dr. Iftikhar ul-Haq, cell number 033342577013. Passage 2. Al-An'am 6:101-103. A. Theme. The 3 verses are part of Surah Al-An'am, a late Makkan surah. Theme of the verses is God's absolute uniqueness. They were revealed to prepare the Muslims to interact with the Christians and Jews living in Medina who had corrupted the belief of Tawhid. The passage begins with the word Badi that refers to God's unique power to create anything out of nothing. He only commands, be, and it so happens. It proceeds by targeting any false belief of God having a son or a consort because he is beyond any such human needs or relationship. The next verse stresses on God being the sole creator and having power to dispose of all affairs. These unmatchable attributes convince the Muslims to worship none but him. Verse 103 states God's absolutely sublime nature that refers to human inability to conceptualize him in any way. However, God has perfect knowledge of all his created world. This is endorsed by Originated by Dr. Iftikhar ul-Haq, cell number 033342577013. Another Quranic verse that says, "For God is he who understands the finest mysteries." 22 hours 63 minutes, Al-Hajj. B. Importance of the theme. This passage helps Muslims refine their belief of Tawhid in terms of God's unique nature and powers. Its main objective is to emphasize on monotheism and exclusive divine powers as against polytheism and paganism. Muslims are taught to believe in God's absolute oneness that had been corrupted by the misguided communities repeatedly in the past. Thus it removes any trace of confusion about God's existence from the hearts of Muslims. Moreover, they develop a sense of God's omniscience that helps them follow the right path. At another place the Quran reminds the same as, "And he is with you wheresoever you are." 57-4, Al-Hadid. It, therefore, teaches them about their limitations regarding God's personification and configuration. Thus they refrain from committing any form of shirk. According to the Mufassirin/commentators of Quran, when this surah was being revealed 70,000 angels were assigned to accompany it. Therefore its recitation has a strong enlightening impact on the hearts of Muslims as they remain away from satanic misguidance. Originated by Dr. Iftikhar ul-Haq, cell number 0333425713. Passage 3. Surah Fussilat, 41:37. A. Theme. This verse is from Surah Fussilat/Hamim, an early Makkan surah, revealed to the Prophet after the conversion of Hazrat Hamza. The Prophet was in the Kaaba where the Makkans were trying to bribe him and get rid of the jinns they thought had affected the Prophet. The surah was recited in response to their ridiculous views. This verse counters the corrupted Makkans' belief of associating the sun and the moon as partners with God. The verse describes Tawhid by referring to the heavenly bodies and the cyclic pattern of day and night. It forbids worshipping these objects as they merely reflect God's powers. Their magnanimity and glow teach the people of wisdom the immense powers of their Creator. So the verse teaches that all creatures represent God's omnipotence, omniscience and wisdom. The Quran supports the same theme by saying, "Behold, in the creation of the heavens and earth, in the alternation of the night and the day, are signs for the people who are wise." 2:164, Al-Baqarah. B. Importance of the theme. Originated by Dr. Iftikhar ul-Haq, cell number 0333425713. This verse urges Muslims to observe various objects of nature that reflect God's existence, majesty and glory. Such observation encourages Muslims to develop a strong belief in God's marvels and powers, and therefore, trains them to reject all forms of shirk. For this reason, the Quran adopts a challenging tone while mentioning the immaculate universe of God. It says, "You will never see any imperfection in the creation of the most compassionate." 67:3, Al-Mulk. It tells them that there must be a supreme power to control and sustain such a wonderful and complex universe. Thus it makes them more humble before God. Moreover, they realize their limitations about seeing God in this world, thus reinforcing their belief in the unseen. Originated by Dr. Iftikhar ul-Haq, cell number 0333425713. Passage 4. Surah Al-Shura, 42:4-5. A. Theme. The two verses are from Surah Al-Shura, revealed in Makkah shortly after Surah Fussilat. The Makkans used to accuse the Prophet of crafting the Quranic verses. The two verses were, therefore, revealed in response to their doubts and surprise over the teachings of the Quran. These verses continue the message of the preceding verse that says, "Thus God the Almighty, the Knower sends inspiration to you as to those who were before you." They teach that there is nothing strange or new about God's revelations as they had been sent all through the ages. The Quranic teachings about Tawhid contradicted the Maccans' beliefs about idolatry. The verses emphasize on God's unshared authority over entire universe in contrast to the lifeless idols made by the pagans. They also mention the effect of God's might on the heavens that hardly sustain the divine burden. Finally, the verse 5 mentions the countless angels who are busy in praising Him and seeking forgiveness for the misguided humans. Originated by Dr. Iftikhar ul-Haq, cell number 0333425713. B. Importance of the theme. These verses make Muslims understand the similarity between the Quran and the previous revelations. Thus they teach Muslims to respect other religions as the source of all revelation is one God. They help Muslims to tread the path of Tawhid and stay away from shirk. They tell Muslims about God's power and glory in order to make them His obedient and genuine servants. By referring to the angels seeking forgiveness for humans, they tell about God's mercy and love. Humans, because of their free will and a vulnerability to Satan, can commit sins, but God is the most merciful and forgiving. This is frequently promised in the Quran, "My slaves who have transgressed against themselves. Despair not of the mercy of God, verily God forgives all sins." 39:53 Al-Zumar. Belief in God's mercy and forgiveness prepares Muslims to repent over their misdeeds and retain the hope of being pardoned by God. Originated by Dr. Iftikhar ul-Haq, cell number 0333425713. Passage 5. Al-Ikhlas, 112. A. Theme. This early Makkan surah was revealed in an answer to several queries of pagans and the Jews about God. The Jews wanted to compare the Quranic concept of God with that given in the Torah. Similarly, pagans asked about the ancestry of God. The Prophet awaited the divine guidance and this surah was revealed. The surah sums up the absolute oneness of God by referring to His uniqueness in person, Tawhid fil Zat. God's name Al-Ahad summarizes His absolute oneness. His perfection and His sublime nature are expressed in the word Al-Samad that also implies His freedom from time and space, as well as any progeny. The surah categorically rejects the false belief of God having ancestors or descendants. Due to its conciseness, the Prophet declared, "By Him in whose hand my life is, it is equal to 1/3 of the Quran." Originated by Dr. Iftikhar ul-Haq, cell number 0333425713. B. Importance of the theme. Surah Al-Ikhlas is so called because it purifies the most fundamental Islamic belief of Tawhid. It negates all false notions about God being the descendant or ascendant of anyone, as was believed by many misguided communities and the pagans of Makkah. It declares absolute oneness and uniqueness of God in an affirmative tone. Thus, it strengthens the belief of Muslims in Tawhid, and keeps them from committing any form of shirk, especially shirk fil Zat. For the same reason, the Prophet encouraged Muslims to recite this surah regularly in order to earn the reward of reciting 1/3 of the Quran. Once, Hazrat Anas bin Malik told him about his love for this surah. The Prophet replied, "Your love for it will admit you into paradise." There are blessings attached with God's names mentioned in this surah. A hadith highlights the importance of Al-Samad as, any supplication using this grand divine name is sure to be granted. Originated by Dr. Iftikhar ul-Haq, cell number 0333425713. Theme 1. Q.A. Using passages you have studied, write about the main teachings about God in the Quran. 10. B. How might these teachings affect a Muslim's life today? 4. ANSA. The set passages are 2:255, 6:101-103, 41:37, 42:4-5 and 112. They describe various aspects of the belief in Tawheed/Tawhid, foundational pillar of Islam. Ayat al-Kursi or verse of the throne, 2:255, describes power, authority, knowledge and unique attributes of God that make him distinct from his creatures. This verse outlines his exceptional knowledge, power, majesty and authority. The essence of the verse is described as his throne encompassing the entire universe. This means it is God who exercises unshared authority over entire universe. Therefore, he alone has knowledge of all and he alone is sustainer of all. The same message is conveyed by another verse, say, who is it that provides you with sustenance, and who is it that governs all that exists? And they will answer, it is God. 10:31, Yunus. The passage 6:101-103, Al-An'am, begins with God's unique name of Badi, that refers to his power to create anything out of absolute nothingness by just a single command. It declares that God alone created the entire universe without the assistance of any other. Many Quranic. Originated by Dr. Iftikhar ul-Haq, cell number 033342570013. Verses state this divine power by mentioning God's command and its immediate result as kun/be and fayakun/it so happens. The passage proceeds to reject all kinds of polytheistic beliefs including Trinity by the impossibility for God to have any consort or children. This powerful argument is followed by a command to all to worship him only. The passage ends by referring to God's knowledge and sublime nature that keep humans from bringing him to the limited domain of their imaginations. The passage 41:37, Fussilat, states God's supreme powers by drawing human attention towards the brighter signs of divinity and cyclic pattern of universe. It mentions the sun and the moon, whose appearance is linked with the alternation of day and night, and thus they reflect the glory of the most magnificent God. It commands the readers to identify the most magnificent Creator, one God, and worship him alone, as humans are born with a vulnerability to adore whatever appears impressively magnanimous to them. The passage 42:4-5, Al-Shura, discusses God's glory and his ownership of the entire universe and its acknowledgement by the angels who keep praising him without a break. It refers to the impact of God's presence on the lower heavens where angels are constantly glorifying him. They feel the heaven above them might fall apart due to the presence of all-powerful God. This may also refer to the effect of divine revelations coming from God through the highest heaven. God's word, like his person, may shake the mightiest objects like the Mount Tur that could not sustain a small fraction of divine light. The passage finally gives. Originated by Dr. Iftikhar ul-Haq, cell number 033342570013. Hope to humans of God's mercy and forgiveness, as it tells that angels also seek God's mercy for humans. They know human vulnerability before Satan, and they also are aware of God's immense love for his creatures. Surah Al-Ikhlas, 112, sums up the fundamental message of Tawheed by answering the queries of idolaters and non-Muslims about the nature of God. It silences all questioners by using the words Ahad, the one and only, and Al-Samad, the eternal, absolute for God's oneness and uniqueness. It reinforces its message by striking at the roots of shirk and all corrupted beliefs and about God having or belonging to a progeny the way humans have. Like 6:101-103, it categorically rejects all such corrupted beliefs crafted by the misguided communities about God. The message of the surah is sealed by a declaration that God is incomparable to any of his creatures as he is everywhere, but he is too sublime to be viewed, hinting towards the limitations of human intellect. Thus the title of the surah is fully justified as it removes all impurities in Tawheed and presents it in the purest and original form. Ans. B. Quranic teachings have a strong effect on a Muslim's life and conduct. Muslims develop a clear concept of Tawhid and do not commit shirk, associating partners with God, by realizing that God alone is their helper in all circumstances. They are not intimidated by worldly powers however mighty they might be. This is because Quran tells them that the entire universe is under the supreme command of one God. Muslims also develop a strong sense. Originated by Dr. Iftikhar ul-Haq, cell number 033342577013. Of God's presence as is stated in the Quran, He is with you wherever you are, 57:4, Al-Hayt. This belief keeps Muslims from disobeying God even in their privacies. However, they also retain hope of God's mercy and forgiveness if they become victims of Satan. They know the angels are seeking forgiveness for them from God. Choose two from the following passages and write in detail about the various ways in which God describes in these how He is unique. 6:101-103, 42:4-5, 112, 41:37. 10. B. In your opinion, why Muslims should try to understand God's attributes. Give reasons for your answer. 4. Ans. A. Here all the four passages have been discussed. Students may choose any two. 6:101-103, Al-An'am. This passage begins with the word badi, that refers to God's power to create the universe without any pre-existing ingredients or inputs. This is something that humans can never acquire because they always make or create something new only with the help of some raw material or inputs. God, on the other hand, only commands, and things come into existence. The Quran frequently. Originated by Dr. Iftikhar ul-Haq, cell number 033342577013. Mentions this attribute of God. He is the one who has originated the heavens and the earth, and when He wills to originate a thing, He only says, be, and it becomes/originates. 2:117, Al-Baqarah. The passage proceeds to describe God's knowledge of all things. This means He knows all about the past, present and future of all His creatures because all phenomena of universe are solely under His control. The verse of the throne endorses this, and His throne extends over the heavens and the earth. 2:255, Al-Baqarah, such a supreme God, therefore, can neither have any consort or children nor can He have any assistant or partners in exercising His authority. He is the most supreme authority to dispose of all matters as everything has been predestined by Him. These vital realities make Him worthy of all kinds of worship as He is the most unique entity in all aspects that humans can imagine. Though all His created world is under His observation all the times, human eye cannot afford to see Him because He is too sublime and too refined to be brought to the limited domain of its imagination. 41:37, Fussilat. This single verse sums up God's uniqueness in terms of His reflection through His glorious objects in the heavens. Originated by Dr. Iftikhar ul-Haq, cell number 033342577013. The shine of the sun and the moon testify to God's control over them as they, along with the night and the day, undergo fixed variations. Their cyclic variation proves they are under the ultimate power of God who Himself remains invisible. If we observe the universe closely, we can identify God indirectly through the immaculate order and systematic pattern of all heavenly bodies, galaxies, and even space. There are several verses in the Quran for those having an insight for understanding God's unique existence. At one place, the Quran says, "And in your own creation and in that of all the creatures which he scatters in the earth are signs for a people who possess firm faith." 45:5, Al-Jathiyah. The misguided minds have a potential weakness to start worshipping these celestial bodies as they get impressed by the awe and glow of these creatures of God. Therefore, the verse warns humans not to worship the creatures, and instead, bow down before the one and only Creator of all. God's control over this universe, whose boundaries cannot be measured by humans, is a concrete evidence of God. So, it is the duty of humans to acknowledge God's supremacy and uniqueness by believing in Tawheed. God best knows that humans in this world cannot afford to physically see Him. He, for this reason, draws their attention by referring to the presence of His signs. Indeed, God has created these objects for the service of humankind, but humans often start adoring them. Originated by Dr. Iftikhar ul-Haq, cell number 0333425713. Thus the passage discusses God's unique nature in terms of recognizing Him through the signs of His power. Answer 4a part ends here, but students may opt the other two passages given below. 42:4-5, Al-Shura. These two verses illustrate God's uniqueness with reference to His majesty, might and glory that is palpable in the seven heavens. The passage mentions God's unshared ownership of the universe and His exalted status. A similar description is given in the verse of the throne, "His are all things in the heavens and on earth." 2:255, Al-Baqarah. The passage highlights God's power and majesty by mentioning the angels who are always busy in glorifying Him. While praising God, they feel the heaven above them might fall apart. This feeling may also refer to the impact of coming of revelations through the heavens. Similar power of the Quran is mentioned in another surah as, "Had we sent down this Quran on a mountain, you, O Muhammad, would have certainly seen it humbled and torn apart in awe of God." 59:21. Al-Hashr. Similarly, when Hazrat Musa had asked God for showing Himself to him, a very minute fraction of God's glory burned down a part of Mount Tur. Thus the passage is aimed at inducing fear of God, who is in possession of utmost powers. He has assigned angels the task of praising. Originated by Dr. Iftikhar ul-Haq, cell number 0333425713. Him in order to teach humans to do the same. The other dimension of the passage is God's attributes of unusual mercy and kindness. The angels, while glorifying God, keep begging mercy and forgiveness for the humankind. This proves God's goodness and greatness, and affection for His servants. The Quran is replete with the mentioning of God's unique degree of mercy for humans. Your Lord has inscribed for Himself the rule of mercy. 6:54, Al-An'am. God's reassurance of mercy keeps the hope of His compassion alive in the hearts of His servants if they commit any sins. Surah 112, Al-Ikhlas, is one of the most important surahs of the Quran. It sums up the fundamental aspects of absolute oneness of God and His unique nature. The surah is so titled, Al-Ikhlas, as it purifies the belief of Tawhid, the foundational pillar of Islam. It describes how God is unique and distinct from His creations. He is not bounded by the limitations of time and space, and this is another significant aspect of Tawhid. This is reiterated at many places in the Quran. He is the first and the last. 57:3, Al-Hayd. This means God has always been in existence, and is immortal. Everything that He created has a fixed span of life, but He, the Creator of all, is eternal. He is stated as free from any ancestors or descendants, unlike humans. This negates all false beliefs about God having any son or. Originated by Dr. Iftikhar ul-Haq, cell number 0333425713. 7013. Consort as is believed by some communities. All these extraordinary attributes of God justify him to be so sublime that humans cannot visualize God as an entity. The Quran highlights this human limitation as, no vision can grasp him but his grasp is over all vision. 6:103, Al-An'am. Since this surah presents the doctrine of Tawhid in the most concise way, it has been declared by the Prophet equivalent to 1/3 of the Quran. Its recitation, therefore, keeps Muslims reminding about uniqueness and oneness of God. ANS, B. Muslims need to know the attributes of God as it strengthens their bond with Him. They need to remember that God alone is worthy of worship, and so it is essential for them to know God as Ilah, and Lord of the worlds. Therefore, God instructs in the Quran, so remember me, I shall remember you. 2:252, Al-Baqarah. They need His mercy because they know they are vulnerable before Satan. So, they constantly seek His refuge against Satan by reciting the Quran. Even then, if they commit any sin, they have the hope of God's mercy and forgiveness. By knowing His attribute of justice, they develop a sense of accountability before Him. Such feelings become a barrier against any acts of disobedience of God. They believe that He is the ultimate source of their provisions and means of sustenance, and this keeps them from committing shirk, the greatest of all sins.